Michael Burry has correctly called every last major stock market crash. He successfully shorted the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. He famously predicted the subprime mortgage crash that brought about the beginning of the Great Recession. And more recently, he's made a fortune off of GameStop and shorting Tesla at the end of 2020. In June 2021, he sent this message. People are always asking me what's going on in the market. It's simple. Greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things, by 2 orders of magnitude. But basing your buying and selling decisions based on macro warnings like this might not be the best winning strategy. 4 months ago, just a few weeks after Burry sent this tweet, my stock portfolio was 40% less valuable than it is today. 6 months ago, it was 65% less valuable. That's the opportunity cost of not being invested in the market.
Did you think it was strange when the tech bubble burst in 2001? And the housing market in San Jose, the tech capital of the world, went up? That's strange.
No, it's housing. Housing is always stable, low risk.
That's the idea.
Short $8.4 billion of credit default swaps related to mortgages or financial companies.
You must have been pretty confident that this thing was going to blow
up. Well, we
up.
had a giant bet for us, and I was extremely confident in the outcome.
Were your investors as confident?
I think a few investors were.
Some of them thought you were crazy. Some of them probably thought you'd lost your mind.
I know for sure that some of them thought I lost my mind.
So you made a ton of money?
Made a ton of money. Much more than I ever imagined, I'd ever have.
Were your clients grateful?
I think a lot of clients were just glad to be done with it at the end.
Even though they doubled their money?
Well, we made $725 million, I think, on the funds in 2007, and in the first 6 months of 2008, there was about $730 million in withdrawals. Perhaps I had made the trade too big for the fund, and my confidence in the trade had ticked off some people.
Even though you made them rich?
It's remarkable. There are investors who made tens of millions off this, and we're still pretty upset.
This guy made $532 million from GameStop stock. He's the same guy that made $750 million from the housing crisis of 2008. And you might recognize him from the iconic movie made about him, The Big Short. We're talking about Michael Burry, the guy who founded Scion Asset Management, and the guy who also conveniently owns 1.7 million shares of GameStop, with the majority of his purchase coming around $6 during November of 2019. And if you do the math, that's a 5,600% return on investment.
If you're into investing or if your ability to predict the market. For real, check this one out.
Desire to satisfy this dream, though, needed a tool, something that would make home loans themselves much more affordable for those without the income, credit, or assets to afford one. Let's step back to 1982 again. The Depository Institutions Act legalized adjustable rate mortgages for the very first time. These adjustable rate mortgages, or teaser rate mortgages, would in various forms be the primary mortgage product at the heart of the collapse of our economy 2.5 decades later. But adjustable rate mortgages did not take off immediately. They really did not take off until additional regulatory and legislative changes in the 1990s and early 2000s jump-started the market for affordability products in the mortgage space.
Billions before. Now he's betting against Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation Fund. And Akiko, this is a fund that we've talked about here quite a bit. It had a huge run up last year and into the beginning of this year, but is off considerably from its highs, I think about 25%, down to 7.5% for the year. And he's done this through the options market and basically controls about 235,000 contracts. And we don't know the exact strike price. And here we have a heat map showing ARK Innovation ETF holdings. And these are just some of the top holdings here. I will go to a year-to-date look here, and you can see kind of a mixed bag. Over the last 6 months, I think this is when it gets the most dark red. Teladoc down 50%. So are some of these other names. Spotify down 41%, Roku 22%. Over the last 3 months, guess what? These holdings have come back, but I don't know, Akiko. What's your take on this?
Well, Kathy Wood has become controversial, if you want to use that word, because of some of the lots of valuations that she has put on these big growth stocks. And of course, anytime you hear Michael Burry make a bet, people are going to listen because of his history. What I think is interesting is how this has kind of been aired out. And I want to point to a specific tweet here because Kathy Wood has taken to Twitter to respond specifically to Michael Burry, saying, to his credit, Michael has made a great call based on fundamentals and recognized the calamity brewing in the housing mortgage market. But I do not believe that he understands the fundamentals that are creating explosive growth and investment opportunities in the innovation space. And it comes back to the valuation argument, Jared, because when you think about Kathy Wood, the big investments she's made on the likes of Tesla, she has always said this is a long-term play. It is about the potential, the faith in these companies to build up these big innovative ideas. And some would argue that valuation just hasn't been proven, hasn't played out necessarily. Is interesting that, and by the way, we're just reading one tweet here, Jared, but there is a very long thread that she has put out in response.
I'm glad you mentioned that long thread. I went through the entire thing, and I think I understand her mentality a little bit more. And I find her brilliant. We've interviewed her many times over the years. I think some of her recent comments about cash stocks are a little bit dangerous, but overall, I give her a lot of credit. And so you look at the disruption that's going to be taking place in automotive, or just let's call it mobility, the robo-taxis. We're not going to really see valuations. Well, we're seeing the valuations now. We're not going to see the rubber hit the road and that technology really being proven until you start moving the macro needles. So once you start actually reshaping society, and once all these wonderful inventions that we're just kind of talking about, once they litter the highway,